Shake it up. Shaking up the garbage we feed on. Shaking up our wondrous being. Let's begin the reform. Even if just for a moment, to share the cloying and the suffocating skin. Let's shake it up right now. Let's shake it up right now. Let's shake it up right now. Shake it up. Languishing in thoughts, lucidity doesn't benefit the greater cause. Driving blind.
Hello, welcome to the Creative Shake-Up podcast. A brief introduction before I introduce and share inspirational time with a very, very wonderful human being. And time is one of the most precious commodities that we have. We can keep it to ourselves, and at times that's not a bad thing, but we can share it. We can spend it, we can engage in it. And I am grateful for the time of Charles Mattocks, because we're all busy, we all like to be productive, but I know Charles is very, very, very productive and a lot going on. And at the time we recorded, Charles really did release time and make the time to share his experience in a very brief period, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful to catch up. We do share so much in common. I may or may not possibly share that in the outro, I don't know. Charles comes from incredible stock, shall we say, but within himself, within his own right. He has a lifetime of experience across a number of different forms of media, and particularly now in documentary and filmmaking, and the presentation within health and well-being, helping to provide alternative ways of living a better, fuller, healthier life. So I won't say too much more than that. Some wonderful parts come out. I will share an outro to actually share the reason behind the outro, and let's join now together with Charles Mattocks. Look forward to sharing this with you. Remember, comment, like, subscribe. Love to know your thoughts and feelings on this interview with Charles. I would like to welcome Charles Mattocks to the Creative Shake-Up podcast. Charles, it's wonderful to be with you today. How are you?
Oh, unbelievable, Ray. It's thank you for having me. It's been
That's
too
okay.
long, and I love you, brother, you know.
Oh, love to you too. How define to me unbelievable? You've just said you're feeling unbelievable. Define that.
You know, someone always, I forget who it was, but they were like, no matter how you're feeling, always put that out there, because,
Yeah.
that energy can be contagious. And if you manifest it in your mind, it will come through. Realizing that, life has its ups and downs. It's like an ocean. It recedes, it goes back out. And what you're feeling today hopefully can change tomorrow. So even if I'm having not a great day, I always say unbelievable, because it allows someone else to say, okay, all right, well, man, what's that's good, and so it's always a welcome thing,
Great stuff already. You've started with inspiration already, which is fantastic. And I think when you've had a journey in life and you've been to places of challenge yourself, then of course that equips you to be able to help others. And I want to just give a brief resume of you, not a CV at all, but some of the things that I'm aware that you've done. And I'm breaking all of the principles that I normally have. I don't like to do this at the beginning when somebody's sat there. I don't like to particularly say, this is what this person has done. But because you've done a lot, you've acted, you've sung, You've made documentaries, films. You've worked within health practitioner in terms of helping people to lead a better, more healthy life. That's also current too. You're a writer.
Mm,
You've
mm,
you've covered a lot of things, But where I want to begin with you is what's
yeah.
current for you right now, and then we'll go back to what's brought you to where you are now. What's happening at the moment?
Yeah. Yeah, Ray, just really obviously just producing our television shows. I produce health-related television shows that focus on conditions, everything from cancer to diabetes to menopause to you name it. And those shows air on networks such as Discovery, PBS, a lot of other great places. And that's really my passion right now.
Glued TV, which I've only just become aware of.
Yeah, glued
Glued TV.
TV.
I even managed to
Mhm.
download it onto
Yeah.
my TV. There we are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it's a really focusing on trying to change the face of what we see as far as health and healthcare advocacy work. I get fired up because I see so many people who are misinformed or just having to navigate the horrible healthcare system that really just is pushing medication first. And
Yeah.
so it becomes something that inspires me. And each time I hear the word no, I'm fired up to say, you know what? No, 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 no. We're gonna get this thing done. Working on a menopause series right now, and I'm just
Wow.
like, there are millions of people who are going through, women who are going through menopause. There are women who are CEOs who are running marketing companies, who are running big firms, and who are multimillionaires independently, and yet, there's little to no advocacy or education on menopause. And trying to get this series made, where I'm like, man, we should be this should be easy to get funding, right? Because we're talking about women and who are in great positions to be able to help get this thing made. But it's every no I hear brings me closer to a yes, and we are making some great ground because there are people who are passionate about wanting to help other people, and our series is going to be something that is going to change the face of menopause because of how we shoot it and how it's delivered, and really excited.
So when you hear no, I think it translates, listening to what you've just said, into how. So when
Hmm.
you hear no, you don't think that's an end. You think of how can we reverse, ironically, how can we reverse that no into a yes? And I think the reversed
Yeah.
series, that's a large part of things that you've been sharing over a few years. The current one, am I right in saying, is longevity?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one airing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one airing right now. We just started airing that a couple of weeks ago, and it's a phenomenal series. We shot that in Costa Rica with some of the best minds and brains in the world of longevity and health, who are passionate about getting the word out there and making change. And I think that, it's more of it's a little different than the last series that I normally do, where we bring in, people who are going through a condition, and whether it's five, six people, and then their loved ones, and then we kind of bring in a few experts to kind of help walk them and navigate the condition. This one is more of a meeting of the minds, a symposium, if you'd like to say, of amazing experts who are talking about longevity. So.
And really, really, of course, as you've said, menopause, but you've talked about cancer. I know diabetes and long life. Long life
Yeah.
is crucial for everybody, isn't it? I mean, that's a topic of we all want to not just live for a long time, but lead a better quality of life. And I think in everything you're doing, that's what you're doing. What has led you to
Mhm.
that? What has motivated and driven you to do something that perhaps is in competition, so to speak, even though it isn't, with industries that are, big pharma, for example? What's led you, motivated you to want to do that, to dedicate your life effectively to it?
Yeah. Sometimes I think, Ray, I would want someone to do this for me if I
Mm,
was in this position.
mm,
I would somebody to advocate for me. And, you know, there's a saying that someone I love dearly said that if this life is just for me, I don't want it.
Yeah.
And I think me and you also come from a spiritual background. We have some mutual stories regarding that, and I think that also is what shaped, the way we, have our passion, whether it's your music or,
Mm.
my ambitions as far as television. But I think it's ingrained in us that we, feel the need to want to give back because of the example that we were taught, for many years and that we followed for many years. So it's always a form of service. So I think that
Mm.
I'm in the service industry in many ways, where I'm here to serve and give back and leave something. And Ray, I see too many people who pass, and they may get a couple of mentions on Facebook or whatever it may be, and
Yeah.
they're quickly forgotten.
Yeah.
I hope to leave something that someone can say in 10 years from now, wow, thanks for what he did,
How does that shape up in moments for you? Because again, I listen between what somebody says. So I'm thinking we're
Mhm.
led to something. We're led to something.
Yeah.
But to stay in it, of course, requires stamina, endurance, longevity in energy. In the moments of when
Mhm.
at times you feel that no and you feel that frustration of even I can imagine yourself that you feel like it's not working. Within the moments between the big things you do, what enables you to,
Mhm.
how do you keep going? How do you keep going? Because to do something is relatively easy. To keep doing it, that's a challenge.
Mhm.
So I'm just interested to know, where does the strength to carry on come from for you?
It's always working. And what I mean by that is, I think a lot of times we're filled with, in this world is filled with mediocrity. And you have people who, in what I'm doing, I'm trying to, create something amazing that's going to shake up a system. And if you bump into someone, let's say I'm approaching a company who just is, they may even have a great title. They might be senior vice president of this, that, and the other thing. But at the end of the day, they're showing up just at a job. They're getting a paycheck. There's no
Mm,
incentives. There's no
mm,
motivation. They're just paying. They're just supporting the family. You know what I'm saying? And they get them, $100,000, $150,000 a year, whatever it may be. And there's no kick up. They're not trying to change anything. They're not in there trying to change the wheel. They're doing what they're supposed to do. And a lot of times that's gatekeeping. A lot of times it's man, I'll give you an example. Uh, our first series was sponsored by a beautiful company called Afrezza, which Mankind, which makes Afrezza, the inhaled insulin. And that came by way of the CEO, right? Somebody introduced me to the CEO. It's a big company, and he fell in love with it and said, "You know what, Charles, I want to do this." Now, had I reached out to the marketing person, trust me, this would have never gotten up the ladder, right? Because you're hoping that that person can reach the CEO or someone above them at the right time, at the right moment, when somebody isn't, having some issues at home with the kids or the wife and doesn't want to hear any crap about any television series, and that person isn't pitching it with vigor or any sort of real push that makes you say, this needs to happen. Because at the end of the day, let's say they bring it up the ladder and it's a bust, right? Now they're
mm,
looking at this
mhm,
person like, you just got us involved in something that didn't make us any money.
mm.
So had it not been the CEO, this would have never happened. And almost 9 out of 10 times when I deal with people who are just showing up at the job, and that's really at times what a lot of people do, then it doesn't move the way it's supposed to. But when you have visionaries, when you have people who see it, when you have people who get it, when you have people who say, you know what, we want in on this. And a lot of times it comes from smaller companies,
Mm.
not the big companies that have the infrastructure of, this has got to reach 30 people before you can get $20. Um, but we're so it's always happening. And we're always so, and it's also about just the right person. I mean, it's no is means not right now at times, but it
Yeah.
also means I just got to keep going to find the right person that gets this vision, and there's a lot of people that do. So we focus on finding the ones that get it
Yeah.
and not having to convince the ones that don't get it. And
Yeah.
I mean, I just got to talk to somebody from Abbott, which is a big company, and it was about the film we're doing on CRPS, which is the rare disease that my mother suffers from.
Yeah.
And we sent them over, a little deal memo, and it was chump change for Abbott, and she declined it, and I'm just like, I don't get that. I mean, these people make good money from people who are dealing and using their pain
Mm.
stimulators. Why wouldn't they want to be involved? And it's not even, hey, you know what? I love what you're doing. Maybe that level is a little too much for us today, but give us something else, because we definitely want to just support what you're doing, because it's not like we don't have a track record. The film
Mhm.
has won
Mhm.
awards around the world,
Mhm.
seen on TV right now. So it's amazing when you deal with some of these brands, what they think of and what they spend money on, right?
Yeah.
Because they will spend money in a heartbeat, and millions of dollars on something that I mean, healthcare advertising is reaching into digital space is reaching over $5.3 billion.
Mhm.
So when you look at that, 24. So when you look at that, you say, okay, well, it's not like they don't have the money, but maybe they'd rather give it to Oprah.
Yes, indeed. So it sounds cynical, but when companies have customers, they don't need to have cures, do they? And obviously,
Mm.
I've done little bits of research into certain things in my humble way, and I know enough to know it's a big enough industry that basically it's a heck of a lot to do with finance. And of course, somebody like yourself who have tried to, and not only tried to, has succeeded in providing content that gives people alternatives. I became more aware of you through 8 days, 8 days, and
Yeah,
a connection through Mary Sterling, and introduced me to you.
yeah.
For me, if you can find one reason
Hmm.
to do something that's bigger than the 7 reasons to not do it, or the multiple reasons for not doing it, then you've got enough to be able to do it. You only need one reason stronger
Yeah.
than all the reasons to do something. And I think listening to you, that's what you've lived.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is I mean it's sometimes you wonder, man, yeah, was this the right choice, because there's easier ways to make money, there's easier ways to have to deal with rejection, if you want to
Mm,
call it. But it's such a rewarding situation when you're able to get the messages and hear the feedback and see people who you really have changed, you've done
mm,
some good.
mm.
And again, that's for me, that's really what it's about right now, doing
Yeah.
some good.
Have you got a name for the program you're working on at the moment, the documentary you're working on at the moment with menopause, or not yet?
Yeah, it's just called, I think it's 5 days. We
Ah,
call it,
yeah,
that's we have 8 days, and then we
yeah.
kind of have brought it down to like 5 days. So the women will be living in the house for about 4 to 5 days. So it's just called 5 days.
How many women within the house? Do you know yet? Or
We're gonna have about 5 women. Yeah, we're gonna have about 5 women, but we're also gonna have some loved ones, because men also, if you're involved with a woman who's dealing with menopause or going through menopause, you kind of go through it too,
mm,
and
mm,
it could be daunting at times. When,
mm.
if somebody's dealing with hot flashes and that AC is blowing cold all night, and
Doesn't
or
work for the man
and
necessarily. Yeah.
yeah, kind of mood swings or issues or emotional things that women are going through. You kind of got to be there. So, and be understanding,
Yeah.
a lot can change in the dynamics of a relationship. So having that that viewpoint is also very important.
Just interested in what you've said because I think there's an opportunity for men and women to talk about a variety of different things together. Because the tendency is the men are over there
Yeah,
talking about the women, and the women are over there talking about
yeah,
the men.
you're
How
right. You're
how do,
right.
how do
You're
you
right. You're
how do
right.
you
They need to talk.
how do you think we begin to prevent that division that is injected into the system from my point of view, where you get the women talking
Yeah.
about women and the men talking about men and or each other.
You know,
If you
yeah,
get
I
what I
actually
mean. Do
created
you
a
get what I
podcast.
mean? Yeah.
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 I actually created a podcast, and it's called Inside the Mind of a Woman. And it's basically like conversations with women. So we can kind of have, it's me and let's say another woman who has a story to tell, and it's really just kind of having that conversation where, it's
Yeah.
understanding, the differences in women and men, and how we can, because at times there's things that women go through that we have no idea that they went through that, and or they endured that, or they suffered through that, or or they came through, successfully through whatever it might be, the challenges, whether it's menopause, whether it's, mental or physical abuse, or maybe it's taking care of 5 kids and still being a businesswoman, whatever it may be. So I think that, that was one of my ideas of trying to bridge that gap to understand that, what women have gone through to tell their story. Because I look at my mom, and man, what she went through, coming from Jamaica to try to, create a better life for herself and for me and my brother. It's a heck of a story.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you have taken on, of course, the mantle of upbringing and your life experience. You shared, you touched on that for both of us. How do you see the future for you? Because I'm sure within your continuing experience of life, you've not come to a completion. Do you have
Yeah.
aspirations, dreams? You've achieved a lot. You've achieved a lot. What's the what's the future for
Yeah.
you?
Uh, I'm working on retirement, you know.
Good answer.
I want, oh yeah, oh yeah. Hopefully, I'd like to get there. When I say retirement, it's pretty much semi-retired, and I want to do that within the next 12 months, and not saying I won't do a TV show once a year or something like that, but I think that um, um, and that doesn't take much out of me. We shoot only for a few days, but I think that we have been duped. Somebody told us out here that we had to work like dogs until we were, 70, 80 years old, and still continue to work and make money just to do it. If you look at Warren Buffett, while a genius of a man, but I mean, he's got to be almost 90 years old and still out here working hard. And I don't understand that. I believe that we were lied to along the way, where we feel that we can't just. Alan Watts said it best. I mean, we feel like we always have to be doing something. We're not comfortable within ourselves, whether we have to go to the movies, we have to go out here. Come Saturday after work, we have to race with the kids and go do this, that, and the other thing. Is we can't wait to get home, and and at times we're just not comfortable in our own peace, in our own space. I have a beautiful place that I built in Costa Rica, and I go there when I can, and I go to bed at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and wake up probably about 5 o'clock in the morning, ready to go. And I'm shocked because I'm like, how am I waking up so early, ready to go? Well, it's because I went to bed at 8:30, and and got a full great rest. And I wake up to this beautiful, view of the mountains and the city, and I wake up invigorated, ready to just be, not to
Mm.
get up and hustle and work and phone calls and emails and all of that. Remember, the time that we have here is very short, and a lot of it is filled with with agitation, strife, loss. And I want to spend those days really just traveling the world, seeing things, taking time to enjoy these moments, not, hustling and working and stress and all the stuff that comes with the day-to-day grind, and staying healthy. I think that, our greatest achievement, and you have gone through, surviving cancer, is still being alive and staying healthy. I mean, how many times do we see people who we love, or know, we turn on Facebook and all of a sudden this person is not here anymore,
Yeah.
It's like, wow, the ultimate win is staying alive and staying healthy, whether you have
Yeah.
millions of dollars
Yeah.
or $100, you know, healthy and alive is the key. Because where's that saying that said you don't have you could have, what was that? It was you could have 100 problems, but when it's your health, you only have one problem.
And that problem's big enough at times. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have 100 problems. When you have health issues, you only got one problem.
Miles, it's always incredible to talk with you. And I
Yeah,
think, you, I'm not here, advocating you because I think that's already established. But I think just on a personal level, I want to thank you for your time, for
yes.
who you are, who you are. Sometimes we tend to focus on
Uh,
what people do. What people do. This
yeah,
is what you do. That's the first question most people ask. What do you do? What do you do? Very
yeah,
rarely people ask you, who
yeah,
are you? Who are you?
yeah,
That's a longer answer.
yeah.
Maybe that's
Uh,
why. maybe
and,
because that takes longer to answer.
and, and,
What do you do?
and,
I'm this, I'm
and
that.
and if you ever and if you ever watch some of those dating shows, literally, and that I think that was what I would it irk me or annoy me the most, is the first questions that when those two people meet each other is, so what do you do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and you have to have a great question or a great answer for that, right? Well, I'm a data analysis or I'm a television producer, because that kind of qualifies you
Yeah.
to, I mean, of course, people don't want, you don't want to find somebody who's just, well, I sit around playing video games all day.
Mm,
But,
mm.
but it's getting, you're right. What do you do has become the norm right now. But
The,
it's a
the,
shallow world at times.
yes, the value is in who we are and being better, being better.
Yeah,
And for all of us,
yeah,
every single day is an opportunity and a choice.
yeah,
Who am I going to be? Who am I going to be today?
yeah, yeah,
How am I going to
yeah.
improve? How am I going to
Exactly.
learn? And my good friend John Cheetham, I want to give a shout out to him through you. He's an incredible human being, Charles. John
Yeah.
Cheetham went through an incredible life, and one of his
Okay.
mantras. He's one of these people who can, like yourself, he just puts in a bite-sized phrase so much.
Mm.
And one of his phrases is, live every day like it's your last, learn every day like it's your
Yeah.
first. Live every day like it's your last,
Hmm.
learn every day like it's your first. And I
Hmm.
think that's a beautiful
Hmm.
summary, isn't it?
Yes.
Would you like to,
Yeah.
Charles Suarez, please, without putting you on the spot, could you give us a message to conclude with all of your experience of life, all of your experience of health, all of your experience of ups, downs, ins, outs, yeses, nos, all of that stuff of life. What could you bring it all down to in a parting phrase? There's a question. I'll give you
I think
have
I'll
a few
expound
seconds on
upon.
that one, yeah.
No, I think I'll expound on your friend's phrase, which I want to say it's by Og Mandino, and it says, "Same, live every day as if it's your last,
Mm,
for tomorrow's hours are but a bonus, undeserved." So when I think of that, it tomorrow literally is a bonus, and it's undeserved. We at times we didn't do anything to deserve, um, the amazing gift of life, and it's really a gift. And so I'm thankful for being here today, because there's somebody right now somewhere who is getting up in the morning and is making their plans for the day and may not see those plans through. So, yeah.
Great reminder. Thank you so much, Charles. Thank you. I know I've already said it, and I know, of course, what happened behind the scenes without going into detail, that Charles did all he could to make it possible for us to record the episode I've just shared with you. So again, I want to say thank you for that. And also, I also want to acknowledge now in this moment, previous guests, because in this thing called life, we're all balancing. We're all balancing family, ourselves, finance, our own inner challenges, perhaps health challenges, either currently or previously. So everybody who has been a guest has really added incredibly to the growing audience here. And through that collectivism, if you like, in a very positive and meaningful way, our lives are richer. And that's how I feel from knowing Charles. And I will be transparent, open, vulnerable. I didn't always appreciate as fully as I do at this current moment the opportunity that I was afforded through an introduction to Charles and the opportunity to write a song for 8 days, the documentary. And it was a big thing when Charles approached me and I formulated with some very loving guidance a song, Your Journey. I don't think I fully appreciated at the time how big it was, and it's still there. And I want to share that as an outro to say thank you to Charles, to say thank you for everybody involved in 8 days, the documentary, and also as a timestamp for my own personal feelings of a deeper reason why I do what I do, which transcends the outcomes that I produce. So whilst there was Your Journey, I want to say this in this moment, there's going to be more, and there will be more, because I feel personally a deeper level within myself as to the reasons behind why I'm doing what I'm doing. Came out brilliantly in many things Charles served. You know how much better life is in the service of others. It doesn't mean that we forget ourselves. Of course, it's important that we look after ourselves. Charles also talked about that. So this is a place that's growing, and that's what we all endeavour to do, to be better, to develop, to enhance our lives and the lives of others. So the Creative Shake-Up podcast, that's what the ethos, the vision of this platform is, and the guests who come here and share their lives. So it is a little bit of a step back in time, but I'm grateful to share with you now a song I wrote at the time, and I recorded everything at home. I didn't have the means that I have now to go into recording studios. Things have progressed, but it was a big thing, and it is a big thing. So, loving energy to you. I look forward to being with you very soon. And remember, comment, like, subscribe, and together we creatively shake up. Look forward to being with you very soon. Bye-bye.
The 8 days will continue to inspire people, I hope.
As you stand at the foothills, it may seem you have a mountain to climb. May feel you cannot make it, but you will make it in time. Oh yes, the road may stretch, seem too far for your feet. Just take one step and soon